Welcome back, everyone. So I've got some time. I've been busy boy, but I'm going to make some progress hopefully today. First things first, what have I been doing? Been shopping. My plan is to get this engine mounted in that frame. So to make that possible, got myself an engine mount, which will go on here somewhere. But I didn't have the hardware long enough to go all the way through. So I've gone out and bought myself a whole load of long M8s and M10s. So with those two, I should be able to get them mounted, get the engine in place. Hopefully then that will help me try and understand the alignment from the front to rear sprocket. To that end, the rear shock absorbers are currently just held in place with the wrong hardware. So there's actually a nut and a bolt just lightly holding them in place. I'm going to replace that with the correct sized hardware because the bolt that shouldn't even be there is fouling with the rear sprocket. So once I've sorted that out, I think we'll get a more realistic interpretation of what I'm dealing with. So that's what I'm going to concentrate on today. However, a little bit of news on Flint, the Super Dream. Been shopping for that as well. So if you've been watching that build, you'll see that I had a nightmare with the decals. I contacted the original seller. That they were helpful, as in understanding, but they couldn't resolve anything. They'd only had one set. They couldn't provide what was missing. They couldn't explain how I ended up in that situation. So I have purchased myself another complete set of decals for the engine, for the bike. So as soon as I get some time to concentrate on that, I'm going to be back on decals on the other bike. But that's not the focus for this morning. This morning is this. So let me crack on. Right, it's going to be a lot easier to sort the shocks out before I fit the engine, because this is going to be a lot heavier once the engine's in place. So I think the first thing I need to do is just remove these old shocks, at least one at a time. Should come out relatively easily if I just, there we go. And then I can measure the right gap, cut some hardware down, and hopefully, oh come on, don't be difficult, and hopefully get these mounted properly. Right, let's get some M10s. Now these are going to be far too long, obviously, but I have got lots of them, so I don't mind sacrificing a few. So that should be the right size. There it is, so it's the right size. So if I just cut them down to that length, that should go in there nicely. Yep, right, put a bolt on, cut them down, wind the bolt off so the thread's okay, and give it a try. Not plugged in. It seems to. The thread seems right. Back on? Yes, back on. Cool. Okay. I now have a set of correct length hardware for the shock absorbers. Let's get these in place. Okay, So now with the shock actually attached with the right size hardware, it is clearing the sprocket, not by a lot. Now I can spin the wheel at this point. It's not immediately fouling, so it's improved, but it's not the solution. But if I continue to improve it until I get to the solution. Okay, so that's that done. Now I'm going to try and get the engine in the frame. So just offering up this hardware for the engine bracket. This is strange, you know. So it's an M10 at the top, which needs to be about 80mm long. So I've got a bit to cut off my 100mm bolt. But then it's an M8 down below. I thought that was an M10, but it isn't. It's M8. And I've got 80mm there, so that seems to fit nicely. So I just need to trim this one down. And then check the hardware for the frame itself. But okay, I think we can make this work. Okay, there's mocked up hardware for the top engine bracket, and these are 80mm bolts and they're slightly too long, so I can just take about 10mm off, drop them down to about 70mm. Good, that seems to fit nicely. Okay, there the bolts kept down to the right size. Brackets ready, front. I've got these bolts here to go through the back of the engine. I'm not worried about the top mount at the moment, so I haven't got the brackets for this, but that can wait. That's not relevant to what I'm doing right now. I have noticed that this frame has got a snapped bolt in the frame, which I need to address that. So I'm going to just try putting some penetrating fluid on that for now and just let that soak in. See if we can't wind that out in a bit. But all good. So I've just laid the engine on its side in preparation for trying to put the frame around it, and I was removing the bolt from here and I've dropped the washer in there. You couldn't make this up, could you? Now if I can't get this out using gravity and a magnet, that is going to need to be stripped down, and I don't really want to do that right now. My wife is taking a small amount of responsibility because she was talking to me at the time. She's now laughing. Right, yeah, thanks for that. Okay, let's see if gravity and a magnet helps. Don't you just love luck and gravity? There he is. Right, let's not do that again. Okay, it's sat in the frame. I was struggling to get this bolt in here, and I realised I have to take this cover off. So let me just whip this cover off, then I should be able to get that top engine mount in. But she is in the frame. Okay, so I've got that top bolt through, although it's very clearly far too long. So that is not the right length bolt, but it can just sit there for the moment. It can be a stunt bolt. But it's in. It's physically in the frame. Obviously there's another bracket to go at the top here, but that can go later. I need to get a sprocket on here now and then try and put a straight edge and see exactly what that lines up with. I don't know if I've got a sprocket. Thought I had one on there, but clearly not. Okay, well, there she is so far, and it's beginning to look a little bit more like a bike. Still got thoughts on the front end. I was trying to get like a CR or an XR front end, but I'm really struggling to work out something that might actually go into this headstock here. So I don't know, I'm still really thinking about that. Anyway, for the time being, let's see if I've got a sprocket. If not, I'll get one on order, get that fitted, and then we'll try and look at the alignment of that rear wheel. But no, it's beginning to look a bit more like a bike. Cool. So, good rummage through all my spares and bits. Bit of success. I found the right size bolt to go through the top, so that's now in place. I found a sprocket, however, when I've got the sprocket, but I don't have the retaining clip. So at the moment it can slide left and right, which is not what I need it to do. So I'm going to have to get one of those retaining brackets that holds the sprocket in place, then a long straight edge, which I haven't got one long enough to go all the way from the side of that down to there anyway. Alright, with a load of heat, a load of tapping, I've just managed to remove that broken, snapped bolt. Cool. Ready to receive a new one. Another quick task. I've got some inlet manifolds and some new gaskets. Just pop in there. If I can just get these out. There we go. Actually doesn't feel that bad. A little bit hard. But either way, put the new ones in there and get them mounted on. Well, that's where I'm going to leave it now. Engine in, inlet manifolds on, side case reattached temporarily, engine bolts sorted, rear suspension with the correct hardware. What else? Front engine bracket sorted. Okay, so yeah, need to get that sprocket retaining bracket found, then we can start working back on the rear wheel. But that is all I have got time for this week. So thank you very much to everyone who's been following this. Your continued comments and support and suggestions have been really appreciated. So please do like and subscribe to this, and wish me luck on the decals when I try and fit them onto the Super Dream, because that was a nightmare last time. But I will be using your advice on the soap and water this time, so hopefully that will improve the situation. Thank you very much. Take care. See you all soon.